me see. Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. My name is Francisco Morales, Gallery Director at the Fronarte Cultura here in San Isidro. We are streaming live from San Isidro, California. Here with us is Margaret Noble, Leslie Garcia, Paloma Lopez, and Jaime Lobato, the artists participating in the exhibition Theorema. This exhibition opened last November and is going to be here and up until January 20. The exhibition focuses on these three artists and some of their works that address issues of environmental justice, of ecology, biology, everything through the lens of technology and art, of course. And we have them here with us with the idea of listening to their perspectives, to their practice, and just for them to talk more about their works. So I guess we're ready to start, and I'll pass the mic to Margaret Noble. Margaret, please take it away.
Okay, well, thank you so much for having me. I really am happy to be in this show. Doing work that juxtaposes the environment and technology is something that emerged to me in the last couple of years. And what I wanted to start off with is just a little context of what my work is like. So I'm going to share my screen. So I have predominantly been focused on working in technology as a practitioner in the arts. My early influences are growing up in the 80s, where there's portable sound devices and cars that drive by making sound and beatboxes and just like a really lively audio world driven by technology. And this is paired with also the emergence of colors and lights and computers and video games. So these are all the things that really colored my experience. And my first life as an artist was a DJ. And so it was a natural fit to spin house music and play in nightclubs and really connect with that. But eventually I grew tired of it and I wanted to say more and do more with my work. And so I started doing hybrid technological performances, mixing with dance, puppeteers, doing solo sound art and video art presentations. And that was really interesting and fun. And I grew a lot from that. But eventually, I wanted to get into the gallery scene and work on installations. And so before, where I was actually the performer, the work I make now sets up the audience to be a performer in the exhibition. And so these are technological interactive sculptures that I make. This is an example of a cricket that I took care of and then immortalized in resin and then recorded the many sounds to juxtapose his life with his recorded existence. This is another one I made with holograms, which was also featured at the front in an exhibition a few years ago, with sound in your ears, random sounds juxtaposed with holographic images. And I sometimes have made apps to connect with audiences. This was made for the San Diego airport during the times of COVID. They were visual music apps. And lots of sculptures where the audience is invited to interact and maybe will be surprised by the way technology impacts their experience of the work. And so during COVID, I think is where I started to really shift. I think we all changed. I think artists really transformed, rebirthed, maybe died a little and then came back. And for, living on a screen forever became a complex experience. And so I started to think about eco-criticism, environmentalism, and like just a real hunger to work with the natural world, which was like the complete opposite of the technological world I've been working in. And so that's why this show at the front was a perfect fit for me because it's looking at that juxtaposition. So some examples of work I've done with technology and nature. This one is called Now Is Not a Good Time. Also was featured at the front at a previous exhibition. And these are rattlesnake tails that are on motors hidden in response to the audience. I did a public art concert here in San Diego, putting microphones under the water to find the sounds of shrimp and also the sounds of boats. We also pulled in sounds from the air and the sky, and we had experimental instruments. And so this was this experience of using technology to modulate the natural world and present it to audiences in a way you wouldn't be able to hear it without technology. And then right now I'm working on a experimental exhibition. It's really about artificial nature, recreation of nature. In this image here, you see a teacup, there's a motor, there's a little piece of grass, and that's actually a bee on the wire, and it spins. And what I wanted, what I was just gonna show you a quick film, but what it really looks like on this live feed camera is a recreation as if like the bee was really flying. And so this is where my work is heading now with juxtaposing nature and technology. And so, sorry, I just wanted to make it full screen again, if I could. Okay, not seeing that. So we'll just move forward. So here we are at the front. This is a beautiful exhibition, and it's really this perfect marriage of using technology to examine nature and think about things in new ways. And so my work, I have two pieces. One is called Elsewhere, and it's essentially a hidden computer that has access to over 50 different live feeds of natural scenes around the world. And you see the different scenes by pushing a button on the pedestal. So some of them are pastoral or landscape, and they look different depending the time of the day and where the country, part of the country or the world you're in. And these are just some of the live stills that I've captured of wild animals that I've seen. These are some hyenas from Africa, alligators from Florida, and giraffes, and I think they're also from Africa. And this piece is really complex, I think, because you're experiencing all this nature through a screen, right? And some people think that's maybe not the way to go. You should truly be out in nature to enjoy it, while other, like my 81-year-old mom was like really grateful to use this artwork because it's also an internet-based artwork, because she'll never get to travel to these places. And so there's like a duality there of technology bringing things to us, but also, you know, filtering our experience. And then the second work I have at the front is called Convenience Atrocities. And I would say this is not a highly technological work, but it's still an eco-criticism work. And it's a look at basically a list of shame when dealing and thinking about the actions I assume others take with the environment. I started making a list of things that I wish I didn't do. And then I generate a series of 48 postcards. So for some examples, you'll see on the front, it just says sometimes, and there's a photo that I've taken. And on the back will be like confession. I order takeout food and throw half of it away. Sometimes I keep eating even though I'm full. Sometimes I get a mani-pedi even though I know the chemicals are toxic, right? And so there's all these little shames and regrets, I think, that I have in the day, and maybe everyone has the day when you missed the recycling bin, or you didn't, you know, weren't able to purchase the right ecological choices with your dollar. So that's what this piece is really about.
We have with us Leslie Garcia and Paloma from Interspecifics. So please go ahead and start with your presentation.
Thank you. I'm just going to briefly introduce the collective. We're based in Mexico City. It was founded by Paloma Lopez and myself in 2013. And in the collective right now is created by Alfredo Lozano, Felipe Rebolledo, Emmanuel Engellano, the two of us, and our scientific collaborators, and you know, a lot of collaborators that we work around in different processes. We focus our work on the idea of artistic research. It's a lot about process of investigation on how science creates narratives on the social imaginary, and how can we use arts to also sort of resist certain narratives that create inequality and different kinds of, you know, conflict, because sometimes, you know, these ideas can be a little bit literal. So today we're going to talk about this specific project that is in show in the front. So I'm going to let Paloma to start with the introduction.
Yeah, it's called The Book of Transmutations. It was originally called The Book of Transformations, and then we changed it to Transmutations because we thought it was like more powerful and more like decisive to transmute something, because it's related more to sort of transmuting matter into different kinds of other elements. And the Book of Transmutations, it's a compendium or an anthology of contemporary mythologies, contemporary stories. And these stories are built around two different notions, no? The notion of speculative fabulation from Donna Haraway, and the notion of cyberfuturism from Bruce Sterling. And I'm not gonna go into all of them, but the main thing is to bring the power of literature, the power of narrative, and to build together collectively a new narrative, as Leslie was saying, no? A narrative that is not the imposed one, the programmed one that we have inside, in order, or with the objective to build better futures. And it's really it's been really amazing, because we've been like, when I say collective, I mean in many different levels. No, it's a collective because we are ourselves a collective. So there's like lots of ideas already like mixing in the creation of this specific artwork. But then also we wanted to engage into more than human narratives. No? So it's a collective, it's a collaboration also in terms of other species, in terms of other realities, and also, and this is the third one, in terms of the machine. No? And so we use different kinds of language models, models that we've been training ourselves. So we train these models with a specific kind of literatures, and the result is this. Right now we have 3 chapters. There's just one showing at the front, the first one, but the result is this. This compendium of anthologies that we show in an augmented reality manner, so you can go inside and
Explore it
for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, so we sort of think about this as a, as Paloma was saying, multiple level of collaborations. So it's 50% human narrative and 50% machine, non-human intelligence. We like to approach it in that way. And we've been working actually with artificial intelligence since 2015. Our first artwork that came out using these kinds of systems, basically more focused on machine learning was in that time. So for us, it's been, a whole process of relationship with these technologies, and we decided to create a piece that is actually quite different for the kind of work that we usually present. Normally, we have these more scientifically oriented phenomena installations where we approach, I don't know, for example, the bioelectrical activity of bacteria, pollution in the air, and sometimes these very heavy processes of sonification or data-driven compositions, stuff like that. So we sort of decide to go into a more sci-fi narrative to make it more accessible for different publics and to explore also younger generations' ideas and interconnect this idea of art and science with a broader public. So we decide to start developing this process. Another thing that is interesting is that the narratives are created inside a workshop. So we sort of create these gatherings where we have a methodology. We present the methodology in a collective space, and then we start working all together. So it's a really, really collaborative process in that sense. And yes, I don't know if you want to show a little bit more images, and how's the time? I think we're almost finishing.
We still have like 4 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. There's still time. There's also Hector showing a bit of the installation on the camera.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you see it, let me.
Yeah, for the images, we're using models, stable diffusion models. We're also transferring data from other models. We also train it to the stable diffusion. The sound design on the pieces are also created with neural networks trained with soundscapes. So it's a whole process of creating a world out of the real world, but in a more sort of like
You can say in Spanish also.
no, I forget it in all languages.
language.
That's the problem. Yeah, but
Speculative now.
No, this style of imaginary words that are actually broken, they seem like exist, but they're not. So yes, it's a very intensive process, and it's been a whole ride for us to use technologies in this way. So yes, I don't know if you want to add something, Paloma.
Maybe something in relation to the workshop, because it's like so sometimes it's like the hidden part of the artwork. You see the artwork, but then there's like a hidden part, and it's really fun. We've been working with different kind of publics from teenagers to design students to more like art oriented audiences. And they in this methodology Leslie was talking about, we build the story together. So we've seen really wicked stories about all kind of symbiosis and all kind of like imaginary creatures that can have that have these incredible abilities beyond what we know, and that's like the inspiration for the stories you will see in the book, and
Yeah.
it's really amazing.
Yeah, maybe we can add also that the narratives on these 3 chapters are based on very like a state-of-the-art research in science that is happening in today's world, but we are pushing that into a more post-anthropocentric point of view. So the idea of the book basically is like having this manual to go from the Anthropocene to the Symbiocene, which is a concept where humans manage to collaborate in a way that the species evolves into what Margulis was calling the cooperative symbiotic relationships. So part of the idea of this book is to imagine that those possibilities, and to combine, because all the stories combine a non-human actor that collaborates with a emerging technology, and they create some sort of way to communicate or solve some of these anthropocentric problems that we are experiencing at this point.
Because we know the story, like we have like lots of stories in the past that that show us that science fiction ends up being super important in most of the like inventions of the world. So they start by being just a fictional, super impossible idea, and then with time and with technology and with the certain right conditions, they end up being reality. So we believe in this powerful, in this power of
Storytelling.
of the storytelling in science fiction as a possible way to build something that is not yet real, but that it may be very well be in the future.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, because that is also like a big part of the spirit of the exhibition. You know, like look at the work that artists imagine, that the things that artists imagine, and how, you know, it's literally proposing things for the future. And it has happened in the past with other artists thinking about going to the moon, for instance, right? And then it became reality. Or talking about robots, and then boom, actually science uses those terms and that imagination to make it real. So I think anything that is happening in this exhibition could easily in the future be a possibility, be a solution for something.
Yeah, at the end is like what this idea of otros mundos son posibles, as the Zapatistas say, like, yeah, let's do the exercise of imagining those words and you know, spell them in a way that maybe in some point they just became an alternative reality.
Exactly. If we imagine them, they are a possibility now. Thank you so much, wonderful Leslie and Paloma. Thank you. So we're gonna continue, and we're gonna go with Jaime Lobato. Hector is moving to the other room so he can show Jaime's installation. And let me know, Hector, when you're ready. Oh yeah, there he is. So Jaime, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Francisco. Very nice to be here with you, talking about these topics that are very urgent for humanity nowadays. Like like pandemics show us that we are not like just individuals, but we are part of a super organism. We're a collective, and we need each other. So all of these projects, all of this thinking, all of this imaginary and poetry, it's very necessary to keep like building a new way to relating ourselves to the world. So in this way, I'm showing 3 works in this exhibition, and in general, this is part of the work that we do in biohacker space. I'm running in Mexico City from 2017 to 2018. And the idea of I come from the digital art world, and there is this idea of the materialization of the world through digital technologies. But really there's like a base where all the technologies are like building upon. So this on materialization of the world is like not real at all. I mean, from the first bones that anthropologists have found, bones from like mammoths marked, we are doing the same with computers. I mean, the information, it's not in the cloud. The information is hidden in these like hard drives, in some places in the desert of Arizona or in Mexico. That we are still marking the matter with another means, and in this case like magnetic, but we are doing the same as like 5,000 years. So the pieces are showing here are related to how the matter, even the molecules, as if molecules, objects have this inference in real society. Not only humans can build societies. Not only humans can like change the way of the evolution of the world. So one of the works, it's about, for example, Mayan bubblegum. There are several civilizations that have used some resins to chew for several reasons, particularly like just aesthetic joy, but as well like relief stress or so. But the popular bubble gum that it's very known in like pop culture, it came from the Maya, when the war between United States and Mexico. There was this engineer Adams that made this resin from the Chico Zapote tree, and well, long story short, he put colors and sugar and popularized it around the world. So what you can see in this, there is this map engraved by laser. This map is engraved in this Chico Zapote bubblegum. And what you can see in this map is all the ways, all the routes that Mayan people started to build up in the middle of the jungle, when this material was popularized. Now we are like eating some petroleum derivative things. But before that, Mexico was exporting a lot of this, a lot of this. So as it is happening with avocado now, the community was like having this very huge economical and socio-political crisis, because they only can do that because there was money there, and there are a lot of things happening around the material. But the thing is a little bit talking about the history of these materials and how humans can be enslaved by the consumption of a material that the people doesn't know what is the context of its material. Another good example is like quinoa. The quinoa was popularized like, I don't know, maybe 10-15 years ago, and a lot of people that try not to harm animals for consumption, they started to popularize it a lot, like in these vegan diets. But nowadays, people that like grow this in Peru and the Andes, they cannot like buy it. So, I mean, they cannot like buy it so easily, no? Because all the product is going to United States and to Europe. So we cannot like escape to this very subtle network of relationships. It's not only human, it's not only animals, but as well plants, as well like even molecules. In that sense, the other piece I'm showing is about like bioluminescence. This is a project that we are working with the Independencia Biolab, but also with a lot of communities in the Pacific coast, now as well in the Caribbean Sea, in Holbox. So, well, the thing is, there is this assemblage of molecules, this luciferin and luciferase, with oxygen create this light in nature, like in fireflies or bioluminescence bacteria or dinoflagellates, that these microbials that emit light when you move. That is very like popular, for example, in San Diego, and also in different parts of the coast of Mexico, especially in the Pacific. So the thing is, this assemblage of molecules has started to make a narrative when the human get in contact with it. For example, I went to isolate this bacteria near from Acapulco some months ago, 1 week before the hurricane, and already was a very huge tropical storm. So I couldn't isolate the bacteria. Like the bacteria was telling me, like, Jaime, go away. This is gonna be very nasty. So after that, and actually I couldn't isolate the bacteria. For example, there is like a point for research. Maybe bioluminescence bacteria can become a source of a biosensor to feel this relation, to know this relationship between the sea and the storms. No, it's something like open still. I haven't done it. But then I went to Holbox to take the bacteria, and then we were trying to cross these to the border, and a lot of problems arose. No, like why some microbials or some molecules cannot cross a border. What can be the relationship with a national border with some like a molecule? It can, maybe the question is like obvious, but this like super like it's not it, I mean, there is no natural basis for it, no. And well, at the end, we with Francisco helped me to go for some water to La Jolla in San Diego to isolate bacteria from San Diego, and we have a very hard time to isolate the bacteria. At the end, we thought we couldn't like manage for the opening, and some hours before the opening, the bacteria appeared and told us like, okay, so you cannot do whatever you want. We are going to write whenever we want. So, I mean, this is like a collaboration. The bacteria like show us again, whenever you are working with marble or with oleo or whatever, the material as well has some like a resistance, some nature, that if you don't like try to dialogue with it, I mean, it's going to be like a very lame relationship. No, at the end, we put as well some foraminiferous in the installation, and a little rock from the part of La Jolla where we took this water. So bueno, we are working a lot to also trying to open some workshops of creation of light, biolight, and also handmade light that is very like in opposition to the electricity that we need to power up all our devices, all our of screens and light bulbs. And at the third piece, when we started to work as a lab, as an official lab, we started to work with this molecular biology techniques, and we started to work with some people that were looking for people that have disappeared because of the narco war. and we have been harassed by the government with another like colleagues as well. So we stopped this project. We are like showing a little I mean the installation has some this ultra purified DNA from environmental activists that we have been we took out his DNA and make a sequence and give them. We are seeing there like the Eppendorf tubes with the samples, because I mean these technologies are useless if you don't have the information before. So it's not like this CSI imagination that, oh, we found a hair, so now we know who is the murderer. No, doesn't work that way. If you don't have the information, the most you can know is like if this person is like a man or a woman, tops, no? And if the DNA is not so much destroyed. So we have this archive, and we wanted to start to work again. I mean, for example, Mexican government haven't like openly not developing this DNA database because the political situation in Mexico is like very, very complex. So we wanted to just like exorcise this situation that happened to us during these days. And also, I mean, as a process, also to crossing this 3D printing gun to the border aroused a lot of problems. So, I mean, molecules, beings that are not human, and even objects can have this very huge influence on what is happening around us. So, well, we're trying to reflect a little bit how even, I mean, the difference between like living and not living beings, it's like falling apart with these new biotechnologies that are being aroused. So I think art, I think like philosophy, poetry can place a very important discussion about what we need to rethink for this 21st century.
Thank you, Jaime. And yes, I can confirm that crossing the border with bacteria and a 3D printed gun was nerve-wracking. I was in that car, but we did it. And yes, I can also confirm that at the opening reception, the bacteria was glowing, and Jaime was able to, to make the piece for the audience, and people really enjoyed that. And again, this is another example of things that I mean, right now is an installation in a gallery, but who knows, in the future, that could be a way of having our streets lit at night, or just another form of connection. Hopefully, it is a form of working with the environment and not just dominating the environment and making it work for us, because that would be repeating ourselves. Well, thank you so much to all the artists. I'm gonna leave it open in case of somebody from the audience has any questions, any comments. Feel free to put them in the chat or unmute yourself and go ahead and ask a question. I have a question, and this one is for Interspecifics. And the question is about those workshops that you mentioned, that you do workshops with different communities. It could be like students or artists. And what is the difference between, I mean, how do you tell this that seems like a very complex thinking, complex art piece with somebody that has no experience in the art, or how do you deal with that? Because it is a very like intellectual work, and how do you engage with somebody that is not experienced in the arts?
Yeah, I think that I don't know, hard work, the hardest part of this work was actually developing the methodology for the workshops, because we started, sometimes, for example, we work with this really known University of the Arts in London, and we encounter a master degree students with no knowledge of the Anthropocene whatsoever. They were completely blind about it. So we have to introduce the concepts. We have to, talk about the impact and develop the whole narrative for them. And I don't know, it was a 3-day workshop, right? So going from inform to design to write in 3 days. So that's part of the methodology. And the methodology is, of course, a combination of elements that is very precise, constructed. We have moments for collective research. We have questions. We follow those questions. So we're very much based on the design thinking model to create these kinds of processes and interactions. And they work really well with different publics. The first workshop, we did it with a group of kids from the, what was the space?
It's called Gen Space in Brooklyn.
The Gen Space in Brooklyn. And it was a very interesting group of kids. I don't know, 14 to 16, something like that. From different parts of the world during the pandemic, but they are part of this like a science program for teenagers. So they were super knowledgeable about microbiology, bioengineering, and all these subjects, and they came out with these amazing narratives, and it was super interesting just to work with this group. We don't have to present to them the concept of Anthropocene because they were already into it very much. So yeah, it's very, very different kinds of people. And at the end, I think our main goal is to share a technique to do research from an artistic perspective. So you can create a book or an artwork or a sound piece or whatever you want to create, but the thing is, you have to make the proper questions and follow a specific route to gain the knowledge you need to develop these ideas.
Thank you, Les. We have a question in the chat, Maria Rodriguez. I don't know who the question is for. What was the main idea did you part from to develop the whole concept of the work? ¿Para quién? Who's this question for, Maria? Maria is there. ¿Para quién es la pregunta? Maria. Okay, so I guess it's for you in the specifics because you were talking when she sent the question. What was the main idea that started this work? I think you're muted. Oh, from whoever wants to answer. Okay. ¿Alguien quiere? Who wants to answer? Margaret, are you there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a broad question. What is the main idea? Did you part from developing the whole concept of the work? And I'm still figuring it out, to be honest, especially with elsewhere. It's hard to know, right? It's a living work. Every day I have to edit it. And it changes with the seasons and time. And it's also, people are very responsive to it in different ways. And it's, I don't know, it's exciting, but it's also really dark because it's, like I said, you're experiencing nature through a screen. So I welcome other people's thoughts on that, for that work in particular.
Yeah, I have another question about that work. So how do you curate this selection of cameras? And I'm just learning that there is a whole community of webcams. And so can you tell a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of blew my mind as well, is that this is a movement to monitor and share the natural world through webcams, and that's with nonprofits, that's with ecology and science institutions. And then there's just some folks that just have a cool backyard where deer run, and then they put up a camera. And so for me, I thought the most important was that it would seem as if humans weren't there. So hopefully there's never every once in a while I don't have control, but sometimes you'd never see a shot of a house or a gate or a fence. And I think that juxtaposition is really interesting, because in the end, right, we know there's a camera mounted and there's someone watching. And so that was kind of the thought behind picking the different scenes, but also just as much diversity as possible, whether that's different parts of the world or different wildlife. And also it just really a different artwork in the winter than the summer too.
I can imagine. Yeah, I've seen a lot of things that I cannot unsee. Anybody else has a question, would like to ask something to the artists? Carlos Luna, yes, please go ahead, Carlos, and unmute yourself.
Hi, hello. I have a question for Jaime, and I was wondering if, in the process of your work, if you could just talk about the practice of biohacking, and whether and if there's like what is the concern of whether biohacking as a practice what kind of like consequences that could have if it were to fall into like the wrong hands, for example. Your work has shown how it can be used for good, but I was wondering if like while making your work, if it was ever a concern of like what can we do if like some of these practices were to be done by, like, I guess institutions who might not have like the best goal in mind for people in general.
Well, molecular biology techniques and knowledge are already in the wrong hands. So we might take this and take it to the communities I mean, like genetic engineering is not a problem. Like dogs, sometimes we cannot see it because they say like, "Ay, Monsanto," they are like, yes, the devil, for sure. But the problem is not the technique itself. I mean, for example, corn, it's just in between. If there was not meeting in between humankind and Teocintle, we wouldn't have corn. And also dogs are super, super, super artificial. So these differences between natural and artificial are like very artificial at the end, no? So molecular biology techniques are already in the wrong hands. They want to, the problem is not the technique itself, it's the corporativation of life. Corporativation, when they want to put some like a trademark on DNA, so also there are a lot of practices. For example, with the first crisis of AIDS in the 80s, a lot of like activists were like trying to open the peel, no? The people that are working in these labs are just like trying to make profit. So the tools are already in the wrong hands. So we need to like now there is like a lot of possibilities of democratize this knowledge and democratize these tools. So we better like show everybody how to like protect different points of view, different like find or understand the universe, so we can like keep using this in general. But for specifically in our lab, we are just trying to democratize this. For example, what we did, our like star protocol is this the bacteria. So whenever we do is we go to an academic lab and we start to research for papers, and then we try to make this protocol in the lab in a very like academic and very like well done everything, very clean lab. Whenever we master this protocol, we started to change the ultra purified reagent chemicals that you have to buy from like big companies to things that you can buy in the supermarket or naturist markets, or you can even do it at home, no, like a kitchen biology. No? So we have done it the full protocol that way. So now I can go with some communities in the Pacific coast and show them how to reproduce this protocol. No, especially I'm working with a community from the Manialtepec Lake in the Oaxaca state at the south of Mexico, and they already work with bioluminescence. They live from the touristic income, the people that goes and want to swim with this bioluminescence. But like tourism is like even the most ecological or the most like good tourism, they like finish with all the natural resources. So we are trying to figure out somehow, like for example, like from this month to this month, the tourists cannot go to the lake, but they can still have some money from them, like showing them how to like make some like drawings with bioluminescence, or last time Margaret pointed us out this person that is working with foraminiferous and they sell these kits. So maybe we can do, so we can recreate a pool with foraminiferous, so the lake can like take a break for some months. No, so this is more we are not trying to enhance humankind or like change the color of our eyes, just like trying to democratize tools so people that have specific needs in their communities can like actually use these tools and using for their like own for their own good.
Thank you, Jaime.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. It's 7 p.m. exactly, so I think we're going to finish this meeting. Thank you, everybody who joined on Zoom, and thank you to the artists. We'll be uploading this conversation very soon on our YouTube channel. In the meantime, I'll let you know that well, we have another activation of the space on January 18. Please come and visit the gallery then. We're gonna have another girls artist, local artist, that is gonna do a presentation. And also part of the team here at Casa Familiar who work in the environmental justice department, they're gonna do a little quick presentation also of the work that is being done here in San Isidro. These projects are both focused on the local ecology and the ecology problems and issues that we have and solutions. So thank you, everybody, and hope to see you soon. I'm gonna stop recording right now.